Welcome to the Deucecast Extra. We made it through yet another MCU season. Five different MCU shows this year. Crazy amount. So we will definitely be talking about the season finale of Hawkeye. And to do so, I, of course, have Garrison. Garrison, how's it going?
It's great. It's good. It's great to talk about the 9th MCU product we've gotten this year, whether it's movie or TV.
Yes,
it has certainly been an MCU filled year.
Yes, definitely. So yes, and as Craig is pointing out, Earl is not with us today. He has got something else going on. I can't remember what he told me, but instead we brought in Roth a little bit early. Roth, how's it going, buddy?
I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm Dr. Earl.
That's right. I just noticed you put that as your name. That's funny.
I just changed it.
Earl's got a Wyoming flag instead of Auburn stuff. So
I sent it to him.
Exactly.
He was upset they lost today.
Earl loves Wyoming, so yeah. Oh, I know. Auburn losing today was pretty rough. Nick, what's up, buddy? All these people have their handles in YouTube. They don't use their real names. It's Podcast of the Wills, Harmony Music Education. There's some plugs for you guys. Your different things that you guys do. So Garrison, let's first of all talk about impressions of the season in a whole. What did you think of this particular 6 episodes? So a little bit shorter than we're used to with the MCU shows, but not much, but a little bit. What are your thoughts on how the season went in general?
I thought it was a really solid show. It was a solid addition to the MCU. We got more of a look at Clint Barton than we've ever gotten. A very emotional look at this guy who has just lost his best friend and is really wanting to spend time at home with his family at Christmas. Coming to meet basically a fangirl of his who had a lot of struggles in this show. She didn't have it. She had it easy monetarily, but she didn't have it easy, in some of the challenges throughout. I thought they did a really good job of building both characters of Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. I think that both these characters have I think mostly Kate has a bright future because I have a feeling Clint will retire and will probably, I'd be willing to bet will come back for a big event film or something, but for now, it's probably just going to be Kate's show on that front.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Roth, what about you? I mean, impressions from the whole season?
Yeah, I think it's my second favorite Marvel show out of all of them. I like that the MCU is still able to tell these small, intimate types of stories where this isn't some big world-saving event like whether it be Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home or Endgame, Infinity War, that stuff. It's a very scaled down, just kind of a fighting crime little story. And I think they did it really well. I really like Haley Steinfeld. I think it's going to be awesome to see her in the rest of the MCU. So
I mean, the thing that I think Marvel benefits from quite a bit, and I know DC has this, but it just feels like Marvel is doing it better, at least with their series, is that they have the street level criminals that they can go after, and then they have the Avengers. Even in this show, is this an Avengers level event? So they have the Avengers level event characters, villains that they have to deal with as well. That's very good.
This is the second street level actual things are now getting a little fuzzy, but I'm going to say actual MCU show. I'm going to say Daredevil is kind of in the MCU, but I'm not going to call it fully.
Well, I mean, you can count Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Let's say Marvel Studios produced show. No. Falcon and Winter Soldier was the first street level.
And
then Hawkeye's was the second one.
Yeah.
And I like that we've got weird stuff with WandaVision, cosmic, timey-wimey stuff with Loki. What If was just a little fun cartoon.
All over the place. Well, a fun cartoon that's going to have some importance, I think.
Ramifications.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the street level shows. So
yeah. And Craig, good call on this. The Tracksuit Mafia was a hilarious band of villains.
There were a lot of goofs in this show. They were among them.
I love Ivan. I love Tomas. I mean, those two characters really played well off of each other. As all like, villains, but with the comic relief aspect of it as well. Like even in this episode, or was it episode 5? Or no, I think it was this episode. Like Thomas was fighting Kate, and he was like, "Oh, again, thank you very much for telling me what to do with my girlfriend." I mean, there was even like that.
He's like, I think he said we went to Maroon 5 instead of Imagine Dragons or something like
yeah,
that. I can't remember the
exactly.
first band, but
like some levity in the middle of fighting.
Fetmatic is correct that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was more global, but it still dealt with organized crime. Basically.
Exactly.
So that's kind of why I'm calling it street level.
I would too. I totally agree. It's very, very much more street level than if you're out of at least
the shows.
The 5 total series. I mean, you had like 3 kind of bad guy, space crazy, all kinds of insanity.
Kang is going to be huge in the future. So
let's dive into the episode itself. That, of course, being episode 6. Now, I think that we're going to get a Hawkeye season 2, but maybe not with Clint Barton. I think that Kate Bishop is going to have a Hawkeye season 2 as Hawkeye. I think that they could easily do that, and I think the popularity of this show, they would kind of be dumb not to do that. We'll see, but
I think if they were to do another Hawkeye movie, it would be with Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
I think you need to move ahead forward with a Young Avengers type thing, a team up already. Because look, Haley Steinfeld ain't getting any younger. And it stops becoming Young Avengers at a certain point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's always been kind of a gray area anyways. I mean, when it comes to the Young Avengers, I don't think they've always been super young necessarily. I think they've had various ages throughout the
they range,
title.
but they're usually not below 30.
I mean, she's in her 20s. She's in her 20s in this particular episode because she's
22. They mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, just graduated college.
And trying to find her way, obviously.
Or kicked out of college in her last year.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know that she's got her degree yet.
No, I don't think she.
Who needs a degree if you're a superhero?
Exactly.
Except for the loans you can't apparently get at the bank.
Yeah,
well, maybe she can. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gosh, I know. What is up with all that? I mean, I don't know. Obviously we had Jack being arrested. And that is a character that I was glad they included the character in the series, but I think it was a bit of a throwaway character.
He was such an obvious red herring from the beginning.
The
show wanted you to hate him so much that it made me just go, okay, they want to give him a reversal at the end to make you go, oh, pull the rug out from under you. He's really a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and even in like episode 4 and 5, like he sort of just started to be portrayed sort of goofy, just kind of like a silly guy.
I think he was always goofy, but they just tried to hint at a darker side.
Yeah,
but it was really just goofy.
Yeah, he was really just a goofy guy. And Earl's not here to give us the Marvel knowledge, but I guess he is actually the swashbuckler.
He's the swordsman.
The swordsman. Okay, yeah. I knew it was something like that. I like the swashbuckler better, but the swordsman works.
I believe in the comics he trained Clint Barton at the circus that Clint goes to or whatever to to have all the fighting skills that Clint has. Obviously not the case here.
Interesting. So. Yeah, used a bit differently, but he did have a hero moment or two in this episode,
I actually
which was fun. Yeah, I'm glad that they gave him something to do. So Garrison, take us kind of through like the first half of the episode. What kind of stuff did you catch in that first half?
I don't even remember the first half. No. The beginning of the episode opens with Wilson Fisk. With his walking cane, the gentleman's walking cane, which is straight out of the comics. I loved that. We get to see Fisk having a sit down with Vera Farmiga's character, Eleanor Bishop, which I feel like personally D'Onofrio fell right back into the role and was fantastic in that scene.
As somebody who's never seen Daredevil, Kingpin was awesome.
Yeah.
The only thing I really have to base it on is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was also a very good Kingpin, but
that's a really giant Kingpin.
That's a giant Kingpin. And the way that they shoot Vincent, a lot of times with the Dutch angle, they do make him like look huge. I mean,
they do that on purpose.
Or hulking. They want him to make look like he's much bigger than Eleanor. And Eleanor, I will say this about her: she has some cojones. I mean, just sort of,
or she's stupid,
or she's stupid. But I mean, yeah, he was not happy about that.
You don't walk out of that office saying, "No, I'm just going to leave this."
Yeah. Nick is pleading for you, Roth, to watch the Netflix Daredevil, and it is.
I know it's on the list. It's on the
eye
list.
twitching during that scene from D'Onofrio.
I know.
My God.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if he was doing that on purpose
I think
or
he was doing that on purpose.
How do you make your face do that?
He's a well-trained actor. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I was like, is that because they did kind of close up, and I was like, is he doing that on purpose, or does the dude just have like a muscle spasm? But yeah, he was mad, and so that could be a thing that he's able to do to further show the audience how mad he is, and that was pretty awesome. But you know, he continued to treat Kazi kind of like his right-hand man in a way, which you know, especially now since he's got reservations of Maya, not really happy with what's going on there. But basically, he's like, what does he say? He's like, this city needs to be reminded of who's in charge.
Yeah, and that's
love
after the Maya meeting where he says, "I need to take some time off," and he realizes that she's kind of caught on.
Yeah, and he had the Hawaiian shirt, which is also from the comic.
Which not only is it from a comic cover, at least, I believe an issue called Family Business of Spider-Man. It also was Vincent's idea, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Like,
he's very into this character.
I've seen some people complain about it because he didn't wear that Netflix show, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't fit him as well as some of the, you know, the nice suits and stuff like that. But it was actually Vincent's idea. So
who can blame the guy? Wear a nice tailored suit or a Hawaiian shirt, which sounds more comfortable.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's straight out of the comics. It's an excuse to wear a cool Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a Hawaiian shirt any day. I should have worn my Hawaiian shirt tonight. I didn't even think of it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that would have been some nice continuity. And then you could have changed it before we did Yellowstone. It would have been perfect. Oh, man. Well, there was some... I'm trying to sort of go chronologically, but yeah, we touched on Maya coming back into the office, and she didn't have much to do in this episode, obviously. I mean, she got into the fighting and stuff towards the end, but she wanted to lead Kingpin to believe that she was over everything. Yeah, Fatmatic. Him and Andy Reid. Similar taste. That's right. That's good stuff. So Roth, you know, with the way that they had to gear up, basically. So they had to, and it's funny because all through the season, Clint was acting like, "Oh, we don't have enough arrows. We're gonna have to," and then all along he's been able to do all these arrows. So we get kind of like a montage scene of them getting ready for battle, making all these different arrows and stuff like that.
And she gets to put the labels on them, as you kind of complained about early on.
Yeah, she puts the labels on them, which was so helpful. We get the introduction of the new costumes, so that was pretty cool. They're all right. I mean,
it's purple in a superhero costume's a little bit weird.
Haley's is like pretty comic accurate, except I guess she doesn't have the sunglasses.
Right.
Hawkeye's is like, it's sort of comic accurate. The thing is, he just won't wear the mask, and so he's basically Ultimate Comics Hawkeye, which is how he was pretty much introduced anyway, which is just a much more military version of the character.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah,
it's like an agent. He's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He
basically
in my head, that's how he kind of came up through
instead of being from a circus.
No, totally. So there was still some good dialogue in this particular episode between Clint and Kate as they were like preparing for the battle. I liked all of that conversation, and they've been good the whole season, like just really good writing in the series. And so I've liked everything there. You know, Garrison, was there anything in particular? Did you take notes this time, by the way? Because I didn't take notes. No, you didn't. Okay.
No.
I don't have notes either.
It's fine. I remember enough of the episode.
Yeah, I skimmed through it today too. So
Every time I would skim back through it, I just literally skip back to whenever Wilson rips the car door open, because that's
that is the best scene. And I'm glad that there was a lot of fighting in this episode.
Yeah,
that was important. I think
I guess we would get to the holiday dinner by now, or the holiday party.
Yes,
which looked like it was taking place like at Rockefeller Plaza, basically. Very rich party.
Yeah,
the LARPers were working as servers at the
party. Yep.
We were getting ready to we're close to unveiling the suits at this point, like actually having them on screen.
Yeah, like actually having them on screen. Yeah.
And I liked the reveal from Kate.
Yeah.
Elevator.
She did not mean to do that.
That was very good.
No, she didn't mean to do it. No.
But that whole elevator interplay with her and Yelena was a lot of fun, and the obviousness of wanting to press all the buttons. I mean, as you're watching the episode, you're like, "Oh, press all the buttons. That would slow her down."
And I mean, it's a Christmas show. How can you not think of Elf when they're in the Empire State Building?
Right, exactly. And I'll say this about Elena: she is way more patient with Kate than I thought she would be. Like, she doesn't want to hurt her. I mean, but man,
she's not a mark.
Yeah, she's very patient. That elevator scene was obnoxious. I would have at least I don't know. I would have at least cold cocked her or something to get her out of the picture. Like if I was Elena, just to get her out of the picture a little bit. But Elena was so good in this episode also. I mean, just everything. She had a comedic moment, dramatic moment. I mean, very, very Florence Pugh's outstanding. And they are very lucky to have her locked in as an MCU character. Because that's a character that she could really portray for a very long time, as long as she, wants to keep making a crap ton of money. Hopefully she doesn't get all serious about acting and want to not do MCU stuff anymore. But I think I think
she'll be locked in. I mean, she's got she's doing that Arcane Netflix show, which is like a League of Legends thing. I think Dickinson is finishing up finally. I think she just likes doing all these different things.
I think so too. Yeah,
I don't think she's going to get pretentious about that kind of stuff.
No, I mean, there's no such thing anymore.
And look, I mean, the money talks.
Yes, back up that Brinks truck, as Robert Downey Jr. once so famously said. But and it's funny. I was reading an article. I don't know if you guys read the same one about this whole owl thing. So there's a story behind the owl thing in real life. Apparently, when the first tree or whatever was brought to Rockefeller Center, they found an owl in it. And so there's just this story behind that whole thing in real life. So they thought it would be fun to include this random owl.
I thought it meant Ahsoka was around somewhere.
I know, right? You thought there was a convor floating around.
CGI owl. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they used the and I guess these shows don't use the volume. I don't know why they don't, but
this was this was shot in Atlanta, and this is a little pre some of that stuff going to some of the locations it is now. I don't even know if they have one in Atlanta still. But they've got them in a lot of places. Definitely Sydney and LA, and they'll pop them up for you if you need.
Or somewhere in the UK.
Resident Star Wars expert Nick. Yes, Morai, exactly. Ahsoka's convor. Yes.
If it's in the UK, it'd be at the James Bond place.
Pinewood.
The name Pinewood, which used to be what the Atlanta studio was called.
Yeah, and then Pinewood sold it to somebody.
Trilith.
Wow, such a great
name. Bad name.
Yeah, really bad name. Really, Pinewood sounds so cool because there's so much history behind
James Bond history.
Yeah, there's just a lot of history behind the whole
Star Wars history for that.
Yeah, matter. I thought that they said there was one in Chicago also, but I could be wrong. I thought there was one up north as well. They've got them everywhere now. I mean, those volumes.
There's one in New York if they want it.
Yeah, exactly. The scene between Clint and Elena. I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but there was a lot of different things going on in that action stuff at the end. That was pretty heavy, obviously. I mean, Clint trying to plead for his life basically and explain to Elena what happened.
And he was doing that thing where the person doesn't really fight back too hard.
Right.
To, try not to anger the other person and get through their head that they didn't do that thing that they think they did, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It took Elena a while. She was beating the crap out of him with that stick at the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember if it was a tweet or what. Somebody was like, it should have just been a full 15-minute episode that they released. It was just Elena beating the crap out of Clint, and then they come back next episode, and then it's still happening, and then it finally resolves itself. Because that was quite the beating. He was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Clint took a beating through the whole series, really. I mean, more than anybody. I mean, he
kind of always does. I mean, even back to Age of Ultron, you get to kind of get down back into Earth where he's like, oh my god, I'm fighting aliens or robots and I have a bow and arrow.
Yeah, well, that's the speech he gives to Wanda, which is great. None of this makes sense or whatever.
The none of this makes sense speech. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Elena, I'm still not clear, if she's an independent contractor. Why isn't she part of Thunderbolts yet at this point? Is what's a little bit confusing to me.
I would say she's independent, but that Val has her on her list of people that she can go to do hit jobs, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that if there is a team that would be formed, which there clearly is not a team yet.
Right.
She would probably be on that team.
And so, let me get this timeline right.
Yeah.
Okay. What's her face? Vera Farmiga goes to Kingpin.
Yes.
Kingpin then goes to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who then goes to Florence Pugh.
I don't think so.
How is Kingpin and Vera Farmiga because her mom got Clint or hired Elena to kill Clint.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think that's totally separate from whatever
from Kingpin.
Yeah, whatever business relationship Eleanor has with Kingpin has nothing to do with the fact that she hired Elena to try and take Clint out of the picture to keep her daughter safe.
That makes sense.
It only has to deal with Kingpin because she knows that if she doesn't take care of Clint, then Kingpin is going to be really pissed off.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and he even mentions that he mentions at some point in the episode that he is ticked off that Ronan's involved, ticked off that Avengers involved. He's like, these people need to be reminded, who's control of this city.
And he hired Ronan to kill Maya's father.
Right.
So all that's kind of crumbling in his face. And it's clear that this Kingpin, and D'Onofrio has said that it follows the timeline of Daredevil as much as it can.
Yes.
It's clear that he has kind of lost some of what he had during the snap.
Yeah, because he blipped, I think, right?
I don't think he did blip because he hired Ronan during the blip.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So I would think he lost a lot of his resources and people during the blip.
Okay,
that's why he has to team
up. The only
with
people that didn't get blipped from his crew was the Tracksuit Mafia.
Yeah, that's why he has to work with the goofballs in the Tracksuit Mafia, which is not his typical group that he would hang out with.
No.
That he would hire.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a very serious man.
I will say that the Tracksuit Mafia came strong with the number of them that all of a sudden showed up.
Oh my goodness, yeah, at the end.
That was a lot.
They were nonstop. I mean,
it
felt like a video game.
As they could.
Yeah.
It was very clever how they got around the whole situation of there's 100 of them and 2 people with bow and arrows. That was very clever with the whole magnetic arrow thing. I was like, okay, this can kind of make more sense in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, to their credit, they at least showed 4 moving vans going down the road. So you, in your mind, okay, maybe you can fit 30 guys in a van. I don't know, depending on how big the moving van is.
Yeah, but there's a lot of streets in New York. They're coming.
From they were just coming from all.
I would, by the way, say this is the furthest canonically we have been in the MCU because in Spider-Man No Way Home, the tree was still standing, guys. Let's just mention this.
Although they could have put the tree back up.
No,
It'd have to be a
come
brand
on.
new tree that she used an acid
Mikey,
arrow on that.
Yeah,
way
that's
too-
true.
It's like right before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Why would they even bother putting another tree
What they do?
up?
Go cut it down from their front yard, and squirrels running all around the neighborhood or the house or whatever.
Exactly. So that's interesting to think about, that this is actually taking place after No Way Home.
Mhm.
So that's interesting. I don't know if I like that, because man, New York got pummeled in No Way Home. Just with all the weird, I don't know. I'm not
Did
sure
it
I like
though?
that. Well, I guess maybe just Ellis
Statue of
Island.
Liberty and the bridge.
Maybe just Ellis Island did,
Yeah.
and the
It was
bridge.
really
I mean,
just, yeah.
maybe it wasn't so bad for them to not mention that at all, though. That's why they've got to be careful with having so many spin-off shows, because continuity at some point really gets complicated. They've done a great job so far, but
I've got some
I don't know.
retcons here. Kate was off at college. Clint was not in the city yet. They came to
Right.
the city to see the play.
Yeah.
And then they came in after Spider-Man nonsense happened.
Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah, it works. That's fine. I mean, I don't know what days exactly No Way Home is taking place, other than you get like some school, so it's in the fall, Halloween's over.
Well,
So I don't know.
And I promise you, if you asked them in the show who Peter Parker was, they wouldn't know who he was. So.
Oh, yeah. No mention of him whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, that's
Fair
one
point.
thing that they were wise to do, is not really mention, other than obviously the musical, but not really mention many of the superheroes and the goings on of all of that. They were pretty smart to keep that low key, at least.
I will say, Nick, bend over and I'll show you.
Oh, you're talking about this Griswold
Speaking
comment.
of Julia Louis-Dreyfus, there's another connection.
Exactly.
To a Christmas movie.
Another connection, even though it's unfortunate that she didn't show up in this series. I would have liked to have seen her pop in.
Again.
Yeah. Oh no, she will. I would have just, because what's the next MCU series that we're getting? Do we know that yet?
I am 99.99999% sure it's Moon Knight.
Oh, interesting.
I know nothing about Moon Knight, which makes me excited.
Yeah.
But well, he's a character with DID or whatever, dissociative identity disorder. So he's got multiple personalities.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway, there's been no release date on that. We'll see. We'll get it probably in the next month or so. But,
well, yeah, because the plan is to not have a down day. I mean, so as soon as Book of Boba Fett is over, an MCU show should be starting.
You would think. We'll see.
Theoretically, I mean, they've got the content to do it.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they could pull. So if it's not Moon Knight, then the other thing it would be is probably She-Hulk.
I'm pretty confident the shows are going to go Moon Knight and She-Hulk.
Yeah.
First, second, and then after that, don't ask me. I know the shows are slated to be on there. I think Miss Marvel would probably be, well, that's not counting What If Season 2. I have no idea when that would premiere.
Right. That could be done for all we know.
Miss Marvel would be the next live action, and then you would have Secret Invasion, which I'm thinking almost might get pushed to the next year because there's so many shows. And then you've got I Am Groot, which is supposed to, I think, premiere this year. And you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special next year.
That's 2023, though.
No, it's 2022.
Really?
Christmas. Yes.
I thought they said
Christmas 2022.
I thought he said
the movie
he had to push
is May. The movie is May 2023.
Oh,
the
okay.
Christmas
So the Christmas
special
will
happens
be before the movie.
But
and they shot it.
A bunch of Star Wars stuff too. Kenobi, Mando, Andor,
Bad Batch Season 2.
Yep. Gosh, nonstop, which is fine. I like it. It's not a problem. So back to the episode, because we always go all over the place with this. Basically, my do you think Kazi's dead?
So I think that if they wanted to bring him back, they could. But I think you can give him a pretty definitive ending after how he was acting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he could.
Pretty similar to a woman that died in the Spider-Man movie with the shaking.
Right. Exactly.
That's all I'll say. I'm not going to go further with that statement.
I agree. I mean, but I wouldn't have. I liked that character, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing him back in Echo or something like that.
I think it's totally look. It's comic books. If you've ever read a comic book and you've watched a character die, may take a decade, but they usually come back unless it's Uncle Ben or Gwen Stacy. They come back. That's like literally the comic rule. Bucky Barnes used to be a part of that until Winter Soldier happened in the comics.
Yeah, because you can tell just from a characterization that Kazi really cared for Maya quite a bit. I mean, just thought of her as like a sister almost, like a little sister he was sort of watching over during, because he was obviously around as she was growing up. It's not very clear how much older he is than Maya, but
I'd say he's older, around her age,
close to her age,
with like 5-ish years older, maybe.
Yeah, he's older, but I would say he
could have overlapped in high school.
Yeah.
So I mean, because that arrow looked like it was in his side, it didn't really quite look like it was. I don't know. They could get away with
fresh wound.
They could.
It's a life model decoy.
Yeah, it's not clones,
which is from the Marvel comic books. Let's bring it in. Come on.
Life. No, it was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's where it needs to stay forever. Life model decoy is the dumbest thing ever, and it needs to stay where it was.
Let me just say really quickly, it's something that Nick Fury used to use all the time in the comics, way back in the day, and so it was always an excuse to kill off Nick Fury. And then be like, oh no, I tricked you, bad guy. Really, that was my life model decoy you killed.
No, I don't need it. I don't want it. Yeah. I can take solace, even if Kazi is dead. I can take solace that Ivan and Tomas are still alive and could show up in Echo. So they could. Oh, but
you're right. That personal relationship with Kazi, I would almost want to carry over to Echo, but we've also got that personal relationship with Fisk, who is absolutely not dead at the end of this episode.
Nick makes a really good point here in regards to Kazi. It gives him the motivation to go more angry, vengeful, which is what the Clown character is. Clown is like more of a ruthless assassin in that Matt Fraction thing, I think. I mean, and so that's a really good point. Like if they wanted to go that way with it, have Kazi survive and really more become the Clown.
He literally stabbed Clint's ears with arrows and caused him to be deaf. So
So that's a good point. I mean, I hope that they do that actually, because then he could really be a foil for Echo. Sort of an in between Fisk and. Because they're going to have somebody in between. I mean, that's the thing that the Netflix series did very well, is sort of hold him back quite a bit, and every episode wasn't Kingpin. And so Craig wants to know what is that, a Lugan whatever
Kugel honey rice? It's actually quite delicious.
Yeah, I've Kugel's all right. I've had their shandies. They're not bad. But so they don't need to use Kingpin too much.
Well, and here's the thing to me: if he is such a major Spidey and major Daredevil villain that you should use him as this looming presence in shows like Hawkeye and Echo, but you should use him as like the big bad in something like a Daredevil movie or show, or a Spider-Man movie in the future. I think that would be perfect. Yeah. Because again, I think he originated as a Spidey villain and eventually became the Daredevil villain.
Well, the cool thing about Kingpin is that he always has these like really cool henchmen around him, like Bulletproof, I think, or Bullseye.
Bullseye.
The character that Colin Farrell played in the Daredevil films.
The horse from Toy Story.
No, not the horse from Toy Story. Have you not seen the original Daredevil film?
Yeah,
with Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck yanks his teeth out in the shower.
I have not.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
It's terrible.
The director's cut is not as bad as the theatrical.
I've only seen the theatrical cut. It is the DVD. I literally made sure to check because we have both, and the director's cut is still sealed up, and the theatrical cut is the one I always watched.
You should watch the director's cut. You should.
I will. I bought
It's
it for
not that
$4.99 this weekend HD, so I'll
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
it soon.
It's not that bad. It makes it a little bit better. But Colin Farrell was very over the top in that film, and Bullseye is not very much like that. He's more ruthless, like Clown. That's the thing. Like Kingpin always has these like super ruthless guys around him as like his right hand man. Hobgoblin. What are we talking about Hobgoblin for?
Can we talk about Hobgoblin?
I don't know.
How terrible
Ned?
of a well, see, that's the, oh my god, don't get me started, Roth. Hobgoblin is not Ned Leeds. I mean, he is, but he isn't. It's so he's actually, oh god, he's actually Roderick Kingsley, but we'll leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that.
So, but wasn't he at one point Ned?
Okay, so the original writer of Hobgoblin wanted the character to be Roderick Kingsley. He left the project due to personal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Another writer came in. He wanted it to be Ned. Then the guy who was editing the issues above the writer decided to kill Ned out of vengeance because he didn't like the writer. And then so when the story happened, they had to retcon all kinds of crap.
Wow. Comic book drama.
And so now officially, I believe Roderick Kingsley is officially the Hobgoblin of the comics, after the original writer came back and was given a redemption comic, basically.
Man, we don't even need Earl with all this Marvel history that Garrison's given us.
There's a lot more to that story, but yeah, it's crappy.
Any other major plot points before we get the reveal towards the end of the episode of the watch and all of that stuff?
Oh, okay.
I liked the stuff when Kate did put her mother in prison on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
That is what superheroes do.
Yes.
I think
that was what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked that too. I'm glad that she's in prison.
Oh, okay. You guys ever watched Spider-Man 1994?
I mean, here's the good thing about
series.
The good thing about Disney Plus is it has most of them. I think. I don't know if it has the complete every single episode of those series, but there's a lot of them.
It does for animated series for sure. The 94 one.
Yeah. So the only one they're probably missing is the MTV one.
They're missing
the MTV one was
they're
rough,
missing 67. They're missing MTV. They're missing Spectacular.
Oh, so they're missing quite a few.
That might be it.
Man, but when you look under Spider-Man, they have a crap ton of Spider-Man cartoons on there, like a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's another one we're going to get at some point this next year is the
I don't know that that'll
that's the Spider-Man
the Spider-Man cartoon.
Year.
Yeah, I don't know that that'll be next year, but it's going to be in the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah. I mean, animation, you have to imagine they've been working on some of this stuff for quite a while and have it just ready to go whenever they need to. What were you going to say though about something else in the episode, Garrison?
I like the fight between before Eleanor gets arrested. I like the fight between Kate and Kingpin where he is just slinging her around the room. It's she only won the fight because she was able to get one of the cufflinks, which looks straight out of the Netflix series, and was able to hit the too dangerous arrow, basically.
Yeah. Oh, and she used the little flip thing.
She used the flip thing, yep.
Which came back. But the too dangerous arrow, which created a gigantic explosion, still really didn't do that much damage to Kingpin, which I also loved.
He wasn't. Yeah, he was just sort of like...
He's like comically, and that's fun on purpose. Comically strong in this.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if they'll ever explain that, like if he's got the super serum or something.
Bro, he's just big,
or he's just
a chunky dude,
a really strong dude, basically. Which, yeah, because man, when Eleanor drove that car into him. Boom.
Yeah.
Chekhov's coin flip. That's right.
I did see a thing from someone in New York who was like, I know that street, and there's no way a car could go that fast on that street.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Hollywood magic.
Yeah.
Hollywood magic. I mean, all of that stuff was really great. I mean, that does lead kind of up to the point where they do the off-screen thing with Maya.
Yep.
They want us to think that Maya's killing Kingpin, which
is a panel straight out of the comics where she puts a gun up to his head You see a red panel. It gets revealed later that he has been blinded because of the shot.
So it'll be interesting to see if they go that specific and follow that.
That became temporary in the comics, so I imagine it will probably be temporary in the show as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously going to be a big part of Echo, but again, I'd love to see the clown version of Kazi come back in Echo as kind of like a very vengeful, almost like a Black Widow assassin at that point.
Yeah, and give him the makeup,
Oh yeah, I would love that.
Not that you want to get into this too much, but there was a photo that Jeremy Renner posted, which had Maya with her actual traditional comic suit and the face paint from the comics, which was not in this episode, which leads me to believe that was a photo posted very early on in production. Leads me to believe they reshot some of the final stuff,
which is fine. I mean, it happens in every single show. I mean, because it seemed like there was some stuff coming out that people were like complaining about getting the musical instead of getting something else.
From what I understand, actually, and this is all speculation that I've read, but that the reshoots added more Vincent to the finale than was originally there. So I'm okay with the reshoots if that's the case.
I'm very much okay with that as well. And man, I mean, that's a pretty major week for the MCU, bringing both Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk back in the same week.
Go see Spider-Man No Way Home. At least the first 15 minutes if you want to see Charlie Cox.
If you haven't seen it by now, come on, people. What are you doing with your life? Apparently, everybody else in the United States it crossed 500 million in the United States. So apparently, everybody else, as of today, everybody else has seen it. Yeah, I knew Craig would like the musical, and it was fun. I
thought it was cute, cheesy.
Yeah, it was. Look, an
at 2 a.m, it's just not what you want to see pop on your screen.
This is why I did not stay up.
You want to see maybe JLD show back up and be like, I've got a new person for you to kill.
I was a little disappointed that there was no other scene.
Right. Yes.
But
Yeah.
If there was something after the credits, not just a mid-credits thing, I'd have been like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Or if there had been a mid-credit actual scene and then that was the post-credits, I would have been But I still really loved the finale. I thought it was one of the stronger finales of these Marvel shows. One of the things to me is I felt like with almost every Marvel show we've gotten so far, the finales felt rushed to me. It felt that way with WandaVision. It felt that way with Falcon. It didn't with Loki to me. There's a lot of exposition.
A lot of talking in that finale. Yeah, exactly.
It feels like the other ones are just trying to set so much up that there's just so much for them to do in a TV show format, where this one is, it sets some stuff up with Yelena and Kate and whatnot. But those are, again, like we said at the top of this, smaller scale issues that don't necessarily take...
show really took its time if it needed to. I liked that.
It didn't have, like, this was a build as an hour and 1 minute. Now that includes credits, that includes the musical. I mean, so it's not really an hour and 1 minute in my opinion, but I mean, because the musical that was almost too long of a scene.
That was very long.
It felt long. I know maybe like it really wasn't, but it felt long.
Well, let's answer Craig's question.
Oh, okay. So Laura Barton,
Laura is Agent 19. In the comics, Agent 19 is Mockingbird, which is a character that's already existed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that does not mean that there can't be two Mockingbirds in the MCU. I'm totally fine with that.
Right.
That could be my headcanon, even though I haven't seen all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But also, I believe Mockingbird in the comics, the one that was adapted into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is the wife of Clint Barton in the comics.
But not Laura Barton. It's a different
Laura
character.
Barton's an original character, but it seems like they're kind of tying it into that.
Yeah, I think so. Now,
so it works for me.
My whole thing with them doing this, though, is don't just do it one time. Don't just have the reveal be she was Agent 19. They better pay it off somewhere, somehow, in a series at one point. I mean, because then why do it just to make like fanboys mad? Because for some reason there's fanboys out there upset about it because of it's the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though it doesn't really.
I don't think it personally does, because why can't there be two Mockingbirds? But,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that Marvel Studios will absolutely do. Okay, well, I'll let you know a little secret. Kevin Feige had literally almost nothing to do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He had almost nothing to do with Runaways, Cloak and Dagger,
right.
The Netflix shows. So if he wants to change something, he absolutely will. But it seems like right now they're trying to avoid that as much as possible by just kind of making little minor things that don't really affect the show, but you could get mad at first until you think about it and go, oh, there could be several Mockingbirds, that kind of thing. You know?
Right.
So I think he's going to avoid directly contradicting things.
Yeah.
But again, if there's something major he wants to change, he will change it.
Yeah. I mean, and
I could see her showing up in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
That she could because they're going to need to have a lot of characters in that series. Just like randomly show up. I mean, Secret Wars, I don't know how they're going to. Secret Wars is a pretty big deal. I don't know how they're going to do that in a short form series.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. That feels like more of a theatrical thing to me.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it will be.
But it'll be interesting to see how they do it. How the episodes work and how they handle all that. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Well, I didn't have anything else necessarily on Hawkeye other than I loved the series. Probably, I think I said this every series as it came out. It's my favorite one.
I cannot say that.
Yeah, I still think that I enjoyed WandaVision a little bit more than this, just because it felt really like a very personal Wanda Maximoff story, and I really liked the way that it unfolded. And it gave us a great character in Agatha, and she's gonna get her own series. And even though I complain about having spinoffs, they better be careful with that. But I mean, so I would maybe put it like right behind WandaVision.
I have it right behind WandaVision as well, but Loki is my number one.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
It's Loki, it's WandaVision, it's Hawkeye, it's Falcon. Well, I guess we're doing all the shows, so Loki, Falcon, and then What If below that.
Yeah. I mean, What If ends up having some importance, but yeah, I mean, it was a fun show. I didn't like every single episode of What If, but hey,
it was so disjointed in terms of like how it felt every week. It came together in the end, but I
go Loki number one as well. Hawkeye,
really?
WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I just love the sci-fi stuff of Loki.
I do too. I liked it, but
I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. At least I was as a kid, and I think that really spoke to. It's not exactly like Doctor Who. Don't get me wrong, but I think it really spoke to me in that way.
Yeah,
and that's what I really loved about Loki.
Yeah, it certainly had that vibe about it, like that Doctor Who kind of
whimsy.
Vibe.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier for me, Nick, was probably Nick is saying that he liked that one quite a bit more than a lot of people. I would have to put that like fourth. I mean, and then What If fifth. So
I don't dislike Falcon.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's just
not
rankings are dumb sometimes, anyways. But I mean,
that's I have an entire ranked MCU thing, and I'm like, the 24 ranked thing on my list could move up to 12th on any given day. That kind of thing, you know. It's so arbitrary, and it depends on my mood. You know?
No, I'm with Fat Matt. I mean, I like aspects of every single show.
Yeah.
I just thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was the weakest of the ones.
And I will tell you, I think, and my last thought on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, my biggest issue with it was they 100% marketed it as a buddy cop series.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really turn out to be a buddy cop series.
Not too much.
Which is fine. I just felt a little misled. That's the one time I actually will blame Marvel for misleading fans.
Yeah, it's not less. It's just your 24th favorite. That's right. Exactly.
Let's see. It comes in at my 22nd favorite Marvel property. The Falcon.
Is that actually?
Oh, you've got a list also.
Actually, my 24th. Oops. It's on my letterbox.
I don't have a list. Is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I don't have that big of a list. I need to
it is my 24th.
It is your 24th.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah. It could fluctuate. It just depends.
Could fluctuate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think that in retrospect, if say they end up making U.S. Agent like super awesome in the future, maybe in retrospect you go back and watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, kind of the origin of that character.
In-game incorporated Thor: Dark World, and I still hate that movie.
Well,
I don't hate it, but I strongly dislike certain parts of it. And
it's just very boring.
Yes,
that movie.
I like Wyatt Russell a lot, and I want him to hit it big. I mean, because we really don't, like, if you think about this from like the big Hollywood thing, we don't have many millennial superstars. Like, I'd say Tom Holland, but other than that, like, who can open a movie?
Holland's barely a millennial. He's 25.
Well,
he's almost Gen Z.
He's almost Gen Z, but I mean, from the aspect, like back in the 90s,
there actually seems to be more women that are uber popular.
Like I'd agree.
Florence
I'd agree
Pugh,
with that. Yeah, I totally agree with
the
that.
other gal from Little Women.
Florence, I think, is actually Gen Z.
Yeah, I think she's a little bit younger.
She's 24, I think.
Yeah,
oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah, so Holland's barely on that cusp.
No, she's 25. She was born in 96.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Anyways, yeah. I mean, it just doesn't seem like we've got many actors of that age that can open a movie by themselves, and that's why I kind of root for guys like Wyatt Russell. He's never going to be that guy, but I can still root for him.
I don't know that there will be a guy like that anymore.
Tom Holland. It depends. Hey, look, it really depends on how good Uncharted does. Like, if Uncharted blows it out of the water,
I think IP sells more than people do nowadays.
That's a good point.
You know, Tom Cruise will sell Mission Impossible probably because of the stunts, but otherwise, I think IP sells more.
Yeah, because in the 90s, it was name sold more. Like, you put Harrison Ford in a movie, even if it's 6 days, 7 nights, it's going to make $100 million at the box office. So yeah, it's interesting. Well, that's kind of all I have about Hawkeye, unless you guys have anything else. And we will definitely be back next week. Gosh, in just a few short hours, where we can watch Book of Boba Fett. Holy cow! Garrison, I know you're not staying up for it.
Well, I wake up at 4 a.m. to do work, and I actually have an hour-long block where I kind of just sit there, like, just in case of an emergency. So that's when I'm going to be watching it. So 5 a.m. I'm going to be watching Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. So Garrison, where can
1 a.m.?
Oh, go ahead, Roth.
Oh, I was going to say I'll be up. I can't not stay up for these things.
Oh no, I am too. Even though I'm not feeling 100%, I think I am going to try and stay awake. I'm about to drink a Zoa, and that'll keep me up for like 8 hours.
Kanto.
So,
it was okay.
It was okay. It was not bad. I think I'm going to watch Stillwater. I haven't watched it yet. I think I'm going to rent it and watch it.
Okay.
I like Matt Damon, so we'll see what happens with that. Garrison, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at SCPASH3. You can find me at Letterboxd at GRifen. You can find me on the Deucecast Discord. You can find me tomorrow on the Deucecast Movie Show.
That's right.
Talking about our lumps of coal, which I did not realize we could do outside of the year.
Yeah, who knows? I always keep it to the year. David goes all over the place with it, but I keep it to the year that we're in. Yeah, because I saw quite a few bad movies that came out this year. So
that's fair. Yeah,
so
may have seen close to 500 films. So yeah,
I'm at 464 right now. So we'll see.
I'm at 299. So
dude, you'll hit 300 by the end of the year.
That's my goal.
263.
Just got
263. Look, I'm never gonna do near. I will probably watch less than 100 movies next year. I'm guessing, because I'm so.
Don't say that. You'll probably hit 200 next year.
Maybe I'll hit 200. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, what we will do, as we always, and I hate that Earl's not gonna make it for our Yellowstone stuff, but we're gonna take just a quick break before we dive into Yellowstone and 1883. Garrison, thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Go get some sleep, and we will be right back. we're back. We're doing this. We're back for Yellowstone episode 9, back for 1883 episode 3. At some point, Earl might jump in. I don't know. He could show up. He might not show up. Otherwise, you're just going to have Roth and myself hanging out, talking some Yellowstone. And my gosh, what an episode it was. I would venture to say that, and I think this is consistent in most series, not just Yellowstone, but the penultimate episode of any season always feels a little bit bigger than the finale. I think that's
Game of Thrones effect.
Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, it's not abnormal at all, and they were trying to do quite a bit in this episode. Obviously we've got, I wouldn't necessarily call it fallout per se, but there's a little bit of fallout from John just rushing in and saving the day in the cafe. Fallout for Jamie, especially because he thinks from his standpoint that means the race for him. Like, he's not going to have any chance at this point. Now, his girlfriend, baby mama, I don't know what we're calling her, trying to talk him off the ledge, but then he just goes ahead and spills everything about Garrett at that point. He's just like, my dad killed somebody. I really just need to probably drop out of this race. Or Garrett needs to disappear. And he kind of agrees to disappear, we think. I don't know.
Yes.
We'll see. He has vengeance in mind. I mean, Garrett does in general. So I don't know how much he's going to disappear totally. I don't think he's just going to go quietly in the night. I think that we're going to get some violent resolution to that situation. And it's not going to be good for Garrett.
Yeah.
Who I still don't want to believe is Jamie's biological father, but
I was on the bandwagon last week. I am firmly off of it now.
Oh, you think
John
he is?
Practically confirmed it.
I know. I know, but I don't want to believe
I was
it.
right there with you until
I know.
I watched it yesterday and I was like, dang it.
Yep.
But
it is what it is.
We finally get a scene with Will Patton and Kevin Costner together. It was a fantastic one.
Yeah, but it was a good scene, but I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah, see, I like what they did with not giving us a whole bunch.
Yeah,
because I think if they give us too much, they're
whatever
gonna have to
ends
give us
up happening.
Everything.
Yeah. So whatever ends up happening in either the season finale or maybe even the beginning of season 5. I mean, as you can see in Yellowstone at the beginning of the season, they killed Rourke off in like episode 1. So maybe they'll do that with season 5 for Garrett. I don't think the guy's going to be alive much longer though. I think he's going to force, even though John might in his mind kind of be done with him, he's going to force John's hand basically. Nick, Will Patton's a great bad guy.
He is.
I love him as a bad guy.
He oh shoot, I was going to say something about John and Will Patton. John tells Beth that he thinks it was just the Riggins guy that was the only one, that he was the only one involved. So I don't know if that means Jamie lied to them or if they just haven't heard back from Jamie yet, and that's what the story that John was going with for Beth, or what is going on with that. But
I don't think that Jamie ever told them that Garrett was involved, because that would be
definitely not. But did he lie to them and say it was this guy Riggins acting on his alone?
Yes, I think that's the case. Yeah, I think that's the case, because that way it removes him from removes Jamie a little bit from the picture, and he's removing his biological father from the picture, and the wrath of Beth maybe will subside a bit if she thinks Jamie had nothing at all to do with it, even though technically he does now, because he's withholding information. So because he's withholding information, he definitely is more involved, I think, than he was, because he's having to protect his dad. So he's an accomplice in a way.
What happens when that conjugal visit happens?
Right.
That's going to
right. Exactly.
Riggins. Does he tell Beth, like, oh no, this guy hired me to get this crew together, and then that's how?
Well, it really depends on how broken Beth is, because
Mhm.
man, she has it rough now. I mean, she's already broken, and now she's even more broken because her dad basically disowned her. Not so much disowned her, but just said disappointed, which he'd
Mhm.
never really done, you know. And that was a great scene. I mean,
It was.
Costner was so good in that scene, was he not? I mean, that
Mhm.
I know we're jumping all over the place, but there was a lot of different moving pieces in the episode, so I don't mind us jumping all over the
Yeah,
place.
and they all just kind of intertwine, and kind of
Yeah.
you get one thing that has something to do with the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess that doesn't really intertwine too much is the 4/6 stuff with Jimmy and Emily. You know, she obviously is brokenhearted for a little while, thinking that Jimmy's going back because he basically owes everything to John.
Mhm.
And he feels like he has a sense of loyalty, and when Travis is like, look, we're sending you back, he's, you know, feels like he has to go back.
Yep. Yeah, and I was a little disappointed in myself. I thought I had some Pendleton in the house because that's what Travis was drinking in it, and I was like, "Oh, this will be perfect." I'll pour a thing of Pendleton. So we got the Pendleton Aztec print jacket instead.
Yeah, look, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Yeah,
I was very disappointed in myself for not going out and buying a bottle of Pendleton, but it's all right.
Dude was
I'll
drinking
get
it
over
straight
it.
from the bottle. I loved
Yeah.
that. I mean, Taylor Sheridan's one bad mother. I mean,
Yes, and
he's
I
awesome.
I still love that Jimmy Travis relationship. I think it
Yeah.
gives us a lot of good stuff, and which
Well,
is
and it's
something that we've
evolving.
been missing with this 4/6's
Yeah.
storyline, is that kind of figure. It's all just kind of Jimmy by himself, and
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, I mean, you did have that Ross character that Barry Corbin played, which I hope he is back in the show, because I think that's Barry Corbin's just a dude that's been around forever, and so he brings some authenticity to cowboying, basically. So it'd be cool to have him kind of back in that 4/6 show whenever that's going to happen. You know, like with any other universe, I think their idea is to never have a minute when there's not some Yellowstone show on. So we'll see how that goes as we progress. I think they're already filming some of the 4/6 stuff, so that could be. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy will be on that show, but I guess it's going to take a little bit to get him resolved. He's going to have to go have a conversation with John about wanting to stay at 4/6. So we'll get that whole thing. John sending it out. Garrison couldn't resist. He came back for a little, even though he doesn't even watch Yellowstone. He came back for a little.
that's loyalty
a little bit.
right there.
Yeah, and I do want to give an update that Rhett is diligently binging Yellowstone, trying to catch up to us, so he can be a part of the conversation, because he is just about through season 3. And then I told him it's going to be painfully difficult to get to find season 4 unless he can start it very soon before they take it off their app. Or he just buys the season. Like, you can go ahead and buy the season on Apple TV or Amazon, but he needs to do it quick, or they'll pull it. I don't think it's available after a certain period of time, because then Peacock gets it, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think you'll still always be able to rent/buy it, though.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Hopefully.
Just like a movie, where, like, if a movie is streaming exclusively on Peacock, or not exclusively, but a movie
they have the
streaming
rights
on Peacock, you can also rent
it
on Amazon or Apple or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's like kind of what I've had to do, because like I've much maligned the Paramount Network app, not Paramount Plus, but the Paramount Network app is so bad that I basically have just been renting the episodes, and on Apple TV it's gorgeous, and so it's and I don't have to watch commercials. So I'll pay $2.99 for that all day long. I will pay $2.99 for that. So jumping back into the episode, we get a lot of, and my only problem with this season in general is that Casey has really just been kind of removed from the season. Now he's got a storyline, but it's not like my favorite. I mean, I like all the Native American stuff, and I love Mo as a character, and I love Rainwater as a character, but all of this stuff that Casey's going through is it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's great for that character.
I am gonna wait to hold my judgment on it until next week, because on the
That's
ET
fair.
special, they did talk about, Casey talked about some crazy stuff happening with it and
with the
some
finale
fallout from it, which kind of scares me. Because I also don't like where the storyline's going, because I really do feel like it's setting up John versus Casey, and I don't like that.
John versus Casey.
I'm sticking to my whole theory that this series ends with John versus the natives versus Rainwater.
Yeah, they'll circle that back. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, because they have kind of left that aside for market equities and stuff like that.
They're practically like, not, I don't want to say friends or allies, but they're practically allies for the last season and a half or so.
Yeah, when there's mutual interest there, they work with each other. But they were really good foes in that first season. And so I do hope that comes back a little bit, and we get kind of away from, well, first it was those two brothers in season 2, and then you got market equities coming into play in the 3 and 4, and it's just, progress and whatnot. I guess we do need to talk about what led John to that tough conversation he had with Beth as he found out about Summer being used as a scapegoat, and he was not happy about that at all.
Yeah, and now I've seen some complaints online about this character of Summer, and people hating that she's in it and ruining the show for them and whatnot. I like the kind of relationship that Costner and Summer, whatever her name is,
Piper Paraboo. Yeah,
Piper Paraboo. I think they've got a good dynamic together.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's, I think, leading to some interesting places.
Well, yeah,
definitely
it was
good
a means to an end
between him and Beth.
Yeah, it was a means to an end in this case. I mean, they had to get to a point where what would it take for John, because he always felt like Beth could do no wrong. What would it take for John to be disappointed in Beth? And it just, it happened to be this situation where she used Summer as a scapegoat for, getting in the way of the land progressing and whatnot, and she's ending up having this potentially life in prison, which I'm sure he's going to talk to the judge, and I'm sure it'll all be resolved.
To bring a little 1883 into this thing, whatever Tim McGraw's character, what he says to his son after
James
he kills the deer, about how it's trying to balance between like being the animal and the man.
Yeah,
and that's something that when you kind of brought that back up, I was like, oh yeah, that I think that actually kind of connects, and it's something that maybe the Duttons have gone away from in the last couple seasons of this, where it's a lot of animal instincts from Beth and from other people in the show and whatnot, where John's trying to get them back to finding a balance between those two things.
Yes, Nick. Yeah, I was afraid that he was going to lose it on her at that point. Like, he's probably not used to one of his children throwing things at him like that, and so I was really afraid that we were going to see a rough part of John. But hey, he has calmed down a little bit, and he is fighting with words more than physically. And he knew exactly what to say to her to basically take her down to the core, where she is yet again broken. She's been broken by so many people in her life, and she's yet again broken even further to a point of, I don't know what's going to happen now with that storyline. That's because she goes out with Walker, and Walker's singing her a little song, and Rip sees that, and that was a rough moment, because Rip, it appears, is just starting to really like Carter a lot. And we even get I never see Rip smile. And he smiled a little bit and was like enjoying himself, which is rare for him to enjoy himself. and Carter was like being a little card shark, and then we see Rip find out that Walker and Beth are out in the barn. I don't know what they could go one of two ways with that. They could go that Rip saw her crying and understands that she has gone through something with John because he knows they're having a conversation. He left because he knows they're having a conversation. So he could recognize that, okay, my fiance needs my help right now. But it looked like to me he was annoyed that Walker was with her.
Yes.
He doesn't like Walker in the first place. He thinks Walker's supposed to be dead anyways. But
and was there something happening with Beth and Walker
a little bit
earlier? That's what when
season 2.
Yes.
There was some of that going on in season 2 where, I mean, Walker's a flirt, Beth's a flirt. I mean, it was kind of there was a little something there. And I'm sure Rip remembers that and is not happy about what he sees. So God, Walker.
It was pretty funny in that ET special. Ryan Bingham even was like, I don't like this. I was afraid doing this. Like, I don't want to be on Rip's bad side.
No, you don't want to be on Rip's bad side.
But yeah, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess this character of Walker just likes to knows how to get in trouble.
Really, all the guy was doing was comforting Beth and playing her a song. It's not like he was really doing anything other than they had that history and Rip knows it. And so where they're both kind of like flirts or whatever. But I mean, I think it was you that said you don't think that Rip and Beth are going to be together in the end of all this. Or was that Earl?
It was not me.
It must have been Earl. I think Earl has that theory that Rip and Beth are not going to make it together. They're not going to end up getting married, basically. It might have been Earl that had that.
That'd be very depressing.
It would be depressing, but the show's pretty depressing in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah. That would be the one. That would be the one thing that I would like to see happen, and everything else around it be depressing. Because in the end, I mean, somebody is going to have to take the ranch, and I would love to see it be Rip through being married to Beth. I mean, I think that if all this stuff is going to go down with Casey and he picks the Native American side, John picks, if that's what the resolution of the show ends up being, is that pretty much all of John's sons have betrayed him, besides the one that was killed in season 1. But we get to this point where Rip is his only kind of son left through marriage. And he ends up giving I would love to see that be the final episode of the show, is Rip gets the ranch after everything's said and done. But if Rip and Beth don't make it, hard to get there. Hard to get to that point.
Yeah. Let's see. There was something else, I think. Oh, the interim sheriff. What that guy has some pipes.
Yeah, he in. He is either in Mayor of Kingstown or 1883. I think he's in Mayor of Kingstown.
He is in Mayor of Kingstown.
Yeah, because I recognized that dude's voice.
Kirkland.
Right when I heard him talking, I was like, "Whoa! I've heard that dude's voice before." It's because he's in Mayor of Kingstown, which that show is a crazy.
He's got some pipes, but I think. I don't want this to happen, but I could see them taking it in a direction where the police are going to become a problem for the Duttons, because in the past, it hasn't.
They're not going to play ball.
That kind of scares me, because I do like this whole just kind of wild, wild west aspect of Yellowstone. And so do they really need to introduce another party to be conflicting against the Duttons?
Do they need yet another antagonist for the Duttons to have to deal with? No, I mean, I just think that guy was making it known in so many words that he's not going to play ball. And I think John recognizes that. And so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what comes from it. Gosh, the finale is going to be crazy. I mean, I just don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's the little preview that you got at the end.
Yeah.
It shows it on the app, but yeah, definitely.
I think it does. Fireworks. Yeah, it does. If you rent it, like I said, I'm using Apple TV Plus, and if you rent it, you do get the little preview.
Okay.
Which is cool. Yeah, I saw the little, and again, I hope they don't spend a lot of time on this Casey stuff. I hope they resolve this walkabout. I don't know what you call it. It's not a walkabout, obviously. Vision Quest. I hope they solve this Vision Quest situation quickly and have Casey become more involved with Dutton stuff. But I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure which way they'll go with it.
And I also hope they resolve the Jimmy issues fast.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, it's all again. It's a means to an end, just like the MCU. They got to set up their next show. So
hey, I shouldn't say resolve it quickly, but I just don't want them to spend like half of the episode or a third of the episode on Jimmy. Right, when he's going to be getting his own show.
Yeah. I mean, my whole concern with the 4/6s is that dude that plays Jimmy. I don't know if he can like carry a show on his own. They need to have a strong cast around him, because and that poor girl that plays Emily could not act herself out of a. She's just not great. I mean,
no,
really wouldn't. I mean, and maybe she'll get better or whatever, but I don't know. I hope those two aren't the centerpiece of 4/6s. I hope that we get some other new characters, which I'm sure we will. Exactly, Nick. I don't want or need a Jimmy show. I'm the same way, dude. I mean, I'm the same way, Nick. He's going to be
obviously has some good pull that he can utilize. Where I think as long as he can pull at least one big-ish star, it doesn't need to be a Jeremy Renner type or a Kevin Costner type, but just a step down from them. I think that has some good promise.
Yeah, I think if they if they have their main guy be somebody kind of major, that at least from like a television standpoint, like a name that we immediately know when we hear it, that's been in stuff before. I think that would be good for that show to have somebody besides starring Jefferson White as Jimmy. No, that doesn't sell a show.
Catherine Kelly
as Emily. I mean, exactly. I mean, that just doesn't sell. Now, I'm sort of cheesy, and Barry Corbin would sell a show for me. I'd watch a Barry Corbin as a cowboy show all day long, because he's awesome. But it doesn't have to be that way. They need a bigger name on that show, and I'm sure that they've got plans. I read that article was published a long time ago that Walker, like Ryan Bingham's character, but he's also not a big enough name. No. They need to have somebody else. It's great from a continuity standpoint to have like Walker and Jimmy in that show to keep it tied to Yellowstone, but they need to have a bigger name, and I'm sure they will. And Taylor Sheridan's no idiot. He knows that. I mean, he knows that they need to have a bigger name on that show.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll get that announcement. Heck, we could get that like after the finale, announce the cast of the 4/6s show.
Yeah.
Well, did you have anything else on Yellowstone? Or
I don't think so. So I did see on Sunday, I went down to Fort Collins to see a couple friends from high school that were in town and whatnot. And one of them is a world champion and all-time leader in ranch sorting. I think I've talked about him before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he does not watch the show, but he also buys young horses and raises them and then sells them. Okay. And he has implemented a new strategy. And he names them all after Yellowstone characters because he thinks he'll get more money from them.
Dude.
So he's got a John, a Dutton, a Beth. Yeah.
Strike while the iron is hot. I mean, that's for sure.
That's actually a pretty good idea. He's like, oh yeah, all these city folks, they think that Yellowstone's the best thing. They've watched one show and now they want a horse.
Dude, I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, man, I would really love to learn how to ride a horse. And she just looked at me like I was an idiot. I mean, just like
that. I will say that was some good stuff we got at the beginning of the episode with Carter and John. Yes. That's the first time that I've been like, okay, Carter's okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to like Carter a bit more. Nick, I'm aware that it's very expensive to, I mean, it's funny, like, even though I live kind of like in a suburb, before all these suburbs were built in my area, there was a horse farm, and those people never sold their land. And so they're still there, and they have horse shows like all the time. And it's more like, this is going to sound like I won't say that, but I know the word dressage. So it's more like that type of.
It's like the equestrian.
It's more like on the equestrian side
The
of
jumps
things.
and they're
Exactly.
wearing the little hats and the
It's not like what we saw in this episode with Taylor Sheridan doing all that crazy stuff that he was doing. So I won't be learning how to ride a horse, but instead of buying a motorcycle, I might want to learn how to ride a horse.
There you go.
When I reach my midlife crisis.
And to be honest with you, I don't know which one's more dangerous or expensive.
Yeah. My sister, when she was younger, fell off a horse and tore her shoulder up really bad. It's so much so that she really never wanted to get back on a horse again. And this was just doing dressage. It wasn't even like doing anything like major. And because she was just learning, and she was like, nope, I am not getting back on that animal. So I just maybe want to go experience, like, I know in Wyoming and Montana they have those like ranches you can go to rustle some cattle.
The dude ranches.
Yeah, I just want to go to a dude ranch.
Yeah. Or even like if you go up like in the mountains of Colorado, all those places, if you go in the summertime, they've got horse riding things
like
that you can
camps
do for
can
like
go
a
to.
couple hours, and
I'm sure I could
get
totally
your horse
handle
fixed
that.
in that way.
Yeah,
songs in this episode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Javelina by Red Shahan. I've never heard of Red Shahan before, but then that one goes into Deer Rodeo by Mr. Cody Johnson.
Yep.
And I really want to watch. There's a documentary that Cody Johnson put out about himself and rodeo and country music and whatnot.
Well, wasn't he a rodeo guy first before he went into country music? Yeah.
Yep. And then Break My Heart Sweetly by John Moreland, Restless Ways by Gethin Jenkins, and then finally Hallelujah by Ryan Bingham.
Yes, that's the song that he sang to Beth.
Old Blue Stick.
Yeah, no, there's a state park right down the road from me that does have horses that are super old. Oh, look at this. His camera's not. He's in the car. Earl.
He's in the car.
Earl, hey guys, what's up? I'm driving.
Hello, Dr. Earl.
Earl in the car. Oh, good grief.
That's dedication.
We just finished our Yellowstone conversation, so tell us all the stuff you loved about this episode.
So which show?
Yellowstone.
Oh man, what's not to love? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Man, yeah, I loved. Gosh, Costner was just amazing in this.
Yep.
I loved his scene with Garrett. I loved his scene with Beth.
Yes.
The scene with Casey, I guess, doing his whatever adventure.
Oh, his vision quest.
Yeah, his vision quest.
Vision quest.
See, Roth didn't really say this, but I said this. I'm like kind of tired of this whole Casey Native American storyline. Like, I'm ready for him to start doing more Dutton things again. But I can see why you, Dr. Earl, would like all the Native American stuff.
Oh, I think he just went on mute.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yes.
Well, bummer. Okay, well, if he comes back off mute, we'll let him talk, but he's on mute right now for whatever reason.
I can't hear you that well.
It's okay. It's okay. This is as Nick.
I think I'm gonna have to drop out.
No. That's okay. Hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate you trying at least.
Yes.
Hey, 1883 was great this week.
You liked it more?
Oh, Earl loves 1883.
Oh, I didn't think he was a huge fan of the first two episodes.
I think he's on now. I think he's in it now.
Okay.
I think he's in it now. All right, Earl.
Did y'all hear me at all?
We got you a little bit, buddy, but
us.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on, buddy.
I'm going to drop out.
Okay. All right. Earl with the run-in. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. That, like, Earl just broke like a #1 YouTube or podcast rule. Never try and do one on the road. It's just not a good plan. Never try and do one. But that was pretty funny. So 1883. I'll still say, and I'm still gonna say, I'm not a huge fan of the narration. I'm just not. I wish they would. They're not going to. But I wish they did not have the narration. I think it's very unneeded, but I understand why they're doing it. It's classic like storytelling device, especially like in westerns and some westerns where you have like some narration. And I get it. I understand it. And I know that's why they're trying to do it. But Isabel May, man. And I'll say this, like her accent in the narration is worse than in the show. Like I think she's okay in the show because it's much more subtle. I think she must have done the narration like in one day, like all the episodes, and it's I don't know what the deal is with it, but it just takes me out of it just a little bit.
I don't know what's happened to my YouTube algorithm. I'm blaming it on last week's episode, but I am being recommended a bunch of videos on accents.
Because we've talked about accents.
I guess so, but I've watched a good 45 minutes of a guy giving an accent tour of America.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he went from New York, Boston, down all to explain the different types of ones all throughout the South. The West Texas accent versus the East Texas accent.
Yeah, there's differences. That's so funny.
The California, practically an expert. I can't do any of the voices. The guy was incredible. I mean, he was doing the accents himself, every single different region, and just like seamlessly transitioning. Oh, it was crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to go watch.
I would love to hear that guy critique Isabel May's accent.
Yes, I would like for Taylor Sheridan to hire him as an accent coach because that is his profession, according to the.
Oh, that's his profession. Yeah. Well, I'll say this: like I've been to Tennessee a lot, and I've been to different parts of Tennessee a lot. I've never heard that particular accent in Tennessee before. I mean, I'll just be honest.
I don't think anybody in the world has ever heard that specific accent before.
Well, look, I like the show. I don't mean to jank on her too much, but I like the show. But it's just, I don't know.
It is unfortunate because she's a charming actress. Like
she's great. No, she's a good actress. Yeah.
Other cowboy is very charming, and you can actually you can get the flirting from her. But no.
The
accent just drags it.
It's tough because she's from California. She's in a show with like Sam Elliott, who's got such a distinct like accent that he just has.
Of course,
and then you've got Tim McGraw, and he's got a really good accent just because he's lived it his whole life, and Faith Hill, who I really feel like is kind of underutilized in the show, but that's a good thing. I think they don't want to put too much on her because she's not the best actress in the world. It's cool that you've got Tim McGraw and Faith Hill in the same show. I think that sells your show right there for a lot of people, and so it's got a lot of people watching it.
They obviously have chemistry on screen in that. Shows.
Yeah, they've obviously got chemistry on screen, and huge props to her for not being afraid to be completely unmade. Like huge props to her. Because that is not something that you usually see from Faith Hill. You usually see her only made up. And so look, I'm very huge fan of the show. The narration thing's a little much for me, but man, this episode
of the episode.
Oh yeah.
Was
the opening of the episode.
Brutal. I mean,
yes.
Being a pioneer, that first off, it's crazy to like the majority of these people aren't riding in the wagon. They are walking. They're not riding horses. They're not riding any sort of animal. And then this is just the Oregon Trail game, like broken leg, ran over by a wagon, bitten the ass by a snake, dysentery, cholera, attacked by a coyote.
Oh my gosh.
Just brutal. I mean, so many ways that like the Seth MacFarlane movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West. Like it's
right.
The fact that people did this, man, they just
different breed,
completely
breed of
different
people.
breed, completely different world. Very thankful for them.
Yes, massively thankful that they did what they did because I mean, good grief, it's absolutely brutal. And the fact that you've got Sam Elliott's character, and I'm gonna actually start trying to Shay or Brennan. We'll just call him Brennan. So you got Brennan and Thomas, who are like really struggling with this group of immigrants, and then there's this other, and they just all of a sudden introduced it, but it makes sense that there's these gypsies within the Germans that the Germans do not like at all, and so that's creating conflict within the group that Brennan and Thomas are trying to get safely to Oregon, which
we
they're
should
losing
say
a
your
lot of
good
people.
friend LaMonica Garrett.
Dude, was that not awesome? I'm sure the guy, like, hey, I love that character. I wasn't
You didn't
I
even
wasn't
tag him,
kidding.
right? So he had to be
No, I
searching
didn't.
out his name.
That's
awesome.
All I did was hashtag 1883. And I did not tag him, and got a little fist pound from him on Twitter.
I'm expecting him on the show next week.
Well, see, I'm not the good marketing guy like say
No,
Nick is.
I'm not either.
Nick was like, dude, you need to get him on the show immediately. It's like, I don't. I'm not good at this. And so I'm like, I don't need to have anybody come on. I would be so intimidated by anybody coming on the show. But that character is awesome.
By us.
Right. That character is awesome though. I mean,
yes.
they're giving him the bet, like he's the most wise character. Like you would think it would be Brennan, but he's having to like talk Brennan through stuff. Like Thomas is like talking Brennan off the ledge.
Leaders.
Yeah, totally. Like he's having to really walk Brennan through this whole process, because I mean, we have to remember that the beginning of the series was Brennan watching his daughter and wife die from smallpox. That's like not
and
pleasant.
then burning his house.
I mean, the dude has been through it, and man, when he is up in that dude's face talking about the freaking Civil War, I was like, dude, this is awesome. It's such a good show that I think a lot of people, I know there's a lot of people watching it, but it stinks that it's like not totally fully accessible, because it is a great show. Like even Nick, who is a Yellowstone fan, is like hesitant to get Paramount Plus just for one show.
It's beautiful too. Like,
oh yeah, it's shot beautiful.
I'm always a little hesitant about these shows on the non-big streaming services,
right?
Like even just like picture quality, and if their app's going to work. But I really haven't had a problem with.
I haven't had it. No, the Paramount Plus, the Paramount Plus app is solid, and they're spending as much money on this show as they do like on Yellowstone. I think Taylor Sheridan, he's not like skipping on the budget at all on any of his shows, and it shows. I mean, it looks just as good as Yellowstone to me, at least. I mean, I think it's like really beautifully shot. And the score's really good too. I looked I think it's Brian Tyler and some other dude, and Brian Tyler's done a ton of stuff, but it's a really good score. I mean, obviously the good thing that they're doing, and they're trying to be as authentic as possible, understanding it's a television show and not playing country music songs over like they do in Yellowstone. So they just have a really beautiful score that's throughout the show, that I really dig. But I mean, to sort of jump through some of the stuff that they're going through the episode, you've got James kind of working in this episode, at least working against Brennan a bit. Like James is like, look, I'm gonna cross the Brazos, I don't care, I'm gonna continue to go west, whereas Brennan wants to take everybody east instead of trying to cross the river, which, gosh, that's got to be like a brutal situation anyways, to try and get wagons over a river.
I mean, have you ever played Oregon Trail? You got to float it, or ford it, or
most of the time in the Oregon Trail they had like a raft you could put your wagon on to cross.
Hire an Indian.
They got nothing. They don't have anybody to help them.
None of them.
And so it is putting Brennan in a difficult situation, obviously, because he wants James's help, because he knows he needs James, and James is like not having anything to do with it. He's like, look, this is what I'm gonna. You can do it with me or not. I don't really care. You're not paying me to be here, so I will do what I want to do to protect my family. My family is always going to be my number one priority. You do what you got to do, Brennan. I mean, it's
I do feel like Sam Elliott's character could use some like marketing or sales lessons, because he's not selling what they offer very well.
No,
like he lays it out there. He's like, well, you're less likely to get robbed if you're with us, but he's just like, well, what, you just want to go off ahead and get shot? And then like that, and I'm like, can I entice him in? Like, tell him how you can help him. And whatnot. But I think that'll eventually come where I think they'll probably be working together a little bit more. And
I think that by the end of this episode, they kind of agreed that they were going to try and do the same thing. We also get that really funny, awkward moment when James is talking to one of the kids that's trying to get with his daughter.
Mhm.
And the guy makes a joke, and Tim McGraw just deadpans that. That was so good. Like, just look, he was like, "That was not. You shouldn't have said that
Yeah.
about my daughter."
Well, and he doesn't even know what courting means. He's
No.
like, "You can court my daughter," and he's like, "I don't know what that word means." He's like,
No,
"You can go
Yeah.
after my daughter."
exactly.
Very, very good stuff. And then I like the hunting stuff too. I thought,
Oh yeah,
there's no way that the kid actually that the kid would have missed in that
That kid
situation.
would have missed. Yeah, and there
But-
wasn't much kickback either. Even though James was like, "There's going to be kickback," there wasn't even that much kickback.
Well, I think the gun was up against James's shoulder.
Yeah, it
And
looked
he
like
was
it probably
just
was.
looking
Yeah.
through the scope and pulling, which is why he would have missed, because he's not able to control the gun when he pulls the
Right.
trigger. Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, besides that, after they kill the deer and whatnot, good stuff being said about how, like, thanking the deer and whatnot, and
Right.
every time you kill
Right.
something, kind of stuff I covered there. But I would also like to say that deer is going to should last them a lot longer than a week. He said,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
this will feed us for a week. I'm like,
Well,
no.
I guess they don't have a way to preserve it though.
He said he was going to jerky it. So especially if
I missed that part.
It was right when they were cooking him, when Sam Elliott was there. He was cooking a part of it, like a backstrap or something.
Yeah.
He's like, I think I'm going to jerky the rest.
Well, yeah, then that should last way longer than a week. I mean, that should last like almost the whole time. That's like one deer will last you a long time.
Especially because it's just for the 4 of them.
Right. Yeah, you would think that would. So, do we think that this show is going to have a dramatic time jump at some point to introduce where the sons are older? It must. I mean, for them to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, one of them's not even
born yet.
Twinkle in their daddy's eye.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to think, maybe. I hate to try to guess on what's going to happen this season, but maybe at the end of the season is Isabel May, that opening scene type of stuff, which would
that'd be rough.
A shame in one way, but we'd get rid of the narration in another.
Or, okay, wait a minute. Now, I wonder if that younger kid is Isabel May's son. Like, it's Elsa's son.
Okay.
And that's interesting because I like that. I like that thought.
Yeah.
Like, that's the son of Isabel May and what's his face.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, because it feels like not that James and his wife couldn't have another kid, but she just seemed like quite a bit older. So I wonder if that is like a because this is John that we're meeting here. So this is John Sr. that we're meeting here. The little kid is John Sr. So that's who Dabney Coleman was in season 2 of Yellowstone, or 1, like the super old dude Dabney Coleman played.
Yeah. I'm just trying to...
So this other kid that ends up being younger than John Sr. that we haven't seen yet, that is Spencer, I think is the character's name, might be Elsa's kid.
Yeah.
It could be Elsa's kid, I think. Because I just don't see James and his wife having another kid at their age. I mean, it just seems like they're in their... I mean, if they're trying to be accurate with the age, they're already in their 50s.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and they're not trying to be inaccurate with the ages, I don't think. So I bet Spencer is a Dutton, but still like adopted by, James and the wife. I need to figure out what her James and Margaret. Yeah.
Yes, Margaret Dutton. That's
I like my theory there. I'm gonna go with that.
And Enos have a kid.
I think Elsa and Enos have a kid. Elsa dies, unfortunately, which we kind of see that alluded to at the beginning of the show. And Spencer, their baby, is left behind, and James and Margaret have to watch over Spencer.
Yeah, I like that, because I mean, this show really has a longer lifespan than Yellowstone does, or it could.
Oh yeah, it could. I mean,
Because you can get a couple actors in there to play the kids even after 3 or 4 or 5 seasons with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and continue with completely different storylines. And
yeah, like we've met the kids in their old, like John Senior is played by Jack Michael Doak, and Spencer is played by Charlie Stover when they're older, at that age that we've seen in a couple of different cut scenes on Yellowstone, and then the one cut scene I think in 1883 showed them when they were older as well. Maybe, I can't remember. Maybe
I think it was all Yellowstone.
It was all Yellowstone. That's right. So yeah, those actors, we know they have a job. So
and like you could age them up and cast a couple other big people and have them carry a show for 4 or 5 seasons too.
I just, we could have it till we're in our 80s. We could have Yellowstone content.
I'm down for
because
it.
Eventually Josh Lucas has to be back as John Jr.
Yep.
Yep. So we'll see how far that goes. I'm trying to think of other stuff that happened in this particular episode. Well, the leader of the immigrants kind of actually finally realized, Joseph finally actually realized what it's going to mean for him to have this leadership role, and I think he took it. I think he's actually, now we're going to get a guy who is kind of like the leader of the immigrant group, trying to balance the gypsy stuff and the immigrant stuff.
Which is nice, because now the past 3 episodes, those people aren't really characters. They're just like kind of a thing that our main characters have to deal with. Yeah. And so now you can have some actual like character growth coming from those guys, and actually get some people to be able to stand out, like the gypsy woman and Joseph or Yosef.
Yosef. Yeah.
So yeah, I think their numbers have definitely dwindled.
Yeah.
Even from the beginning.
And that's probably accurate. They probably do have dwindling numbers. I mean, there's probably some accuracy to that. But I'm loving the show. I'm glad that the show exists, and it'll be interesting to see. And it's obviously going to be pretty brutal. It's going to be a pretty brutal show. There's going to be like lots of people dying before they get to their homeland. Yeah. And so
I'm really interested and excited for where this show, because even just the trail to where they're going is going to be some really interesting stuff with the different obstacles they meet on the way, from it, whether it be the natives or eventually, I mean, they talked about a winter coming and kind of the hardships of all of that. I think should be pretty interesting. I'm sure we'll get a bear attack at some point. We're going to see it all in this series.
Oh yeah, no, they're not going to hold back. They're going to show every single like dangerous thing that can happen. Oh, interesting. Wait a minute. Is the next Sunday already the 2nd? Oh my gosh, it's already January.
Yes.
So good. They're not taking a break. I was afraid that they might be taking a break, but it looks like they're going straight into next Sunday and kind of like nonstop, at least according to IMDb. I don't know. Yeah. IMDb's a joke sometimes, but I like the episode titles. This one was simply called River. Yeah. Just because that was kind of like, I guess that's something that you don't imagine. Oh, it's just a river. It's not a big deal, but it's really like a difficult thing to cross a river when you don't have the proper means to do so.
And like, even it just kind of blows your mind when LaMonica Garrett's character, I need to start getting better with names too.
Thomas, when he was walking the horse out through the river, I mean, the horse is not swimming, and he's like, oh, nope, can't. Yeah.
So the river's not even that the river's not even that deep, and they can't get a wagon train across that. So
right. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's see. Earl said he might be trying to come on. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. We'll see if he shows up. I kind of don't have anything. I'd hate to be like gone when he tries to jump back in.
I know.
Was there anything that you had?
No, that about covers it. I mean, Yeah, I think this good stuff from Thomas about
Yes.
leadership, and if a group has two leaders, they don't have a leader stuff. I like that because I like this characterization of Brennan, where he
Yeah.
is obviously at one point in his life, it seems like he was probably the leader of an army in the Civil
Yeah.
War.
Yeah.
And he's kind of fallen from that, and whether not because he doesn't, I think it's both. He doesn't want to be that leader for that type of thing anymore, but also he's just not in a position emotionally where he could possibly do that, and so that he needs a character or a friend like Thomas to kind of show him through it and remind him of, I don't know, it kind of sounds cheesy saying it out loud, but like what he's capable of and how to be a leader again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got PTSD from a lot of stuff. I mean, he's an emotionally scarred dude, and Thomas is having to kind of be that guy that reminds him who he used to be, what he's like you said, what he's capable of, and that you can't really have two different leaders. They've got like the immigrants have to have their own leader. He can't be the one that they listen to because they don't trust him. They think that he's not really got their best interest at heart. He's just doing it for money.
And they barely speak the language.
And they barely speak the language. Exactly. I will say that that's interesting that it seemed like more of them in this episode could speak the language, but maybe they're just, I don't know, learning it just by being around it. I don't know. Because that was a big
gypsy plot. Can now speak pretty good English.
She knew what was up. She spoke the language pretty well also. So anyways, well, we will definitely be back next week to talk about the finale of season 4 of Yellowstone. I think I've heard that they're back on track with the way that they release things, and so we'll get season 5 in the summer. We won't have to wait as long, in other words. So I think it's going to come pretty quick, like quicker than you would think. I want to say that they've been filming some stuff for season 5 already. And then, of course, we'll be back to talk about 1883, episode 4. And, gosh, Book of Boba Fett. Spoiler alert, we are going to have Nick joining us for all 7 episodes. I'm making him promise it now. If he can make it, he's going to be available for all 7 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. So it'll be myself, Garrison, team stay up for Boba. That's right. Nick and Dr. Earl doing Book of Boba Fett. And then the Yellowstone verse will continue with myself, Dr. Earl, and Roth from Wyoming, because we're trying to have some authenticity in our conversation.
Well, trying to bring it.
Trying to bring the authenticity. Roth, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Roth from Wyoming. I also have a podcast called The Good Day for a Movie Podcast. Our last episode was our Christmas special with the one and only Michael Knipp. We reviewed Gremlins. It was awesome. We were supposed to release an episode yesterday, but I couldn't get it edited in time. So we are going to push that one to Monday, which is our 2021 review. So we go back through every movie that we watched and change our ratings if we want to, and then talk about the 2022 movies coming up. So that'll be coming out on the 2nd of January. And then the episode after that, we tried to do it in person for the first time in months and months, because we were all back in Fort Collins together. We only had one microphone because the Rodecaster was too large to travel with. It was a crappy USB condenser mic, this little guy here, and it just... The intro was fine. We got to watch the movie together, which was wonderful. I picked Casablanca because they had never seen Casablanca.
Oh, great movie. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes into the review, and I was monitoring the audio levels, and I was like, this is just going to be way too much work for me to boost everything and lower everybody else and whatnot. So that will be coming out 2 weeks from now. So that you have that to look forward to. So
the smartest thing that I ever did as a podcaster is have somebody else edit it. That's why David does all the editing, because I have no clue how to do any of that junk.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, let somebody else worry about it.
When I get to do it for myself, it's enjoyable.
See, man, I'm just the talent. All I do, I just come, my golden pipes on a microphone, let somebody else edit it, and that's the smartest thing I ever did as a podcaster, is not have to worry about editing.
Buy into that.
Every other podcaster is complaining about editing all the time and blah blah blah. It takes hours and hours, and I'm like, hey, I just
takes
come and
about
talk.
Twice as long as the episode is.
Exactly. Like that's not fun for anybody.
I know, and then if you actually want to like throw some funny things in there,
yeah,
it takes longer. And
that's why the Techno Retro Dads, their podcast amazes me because of the amount of work that has to take to edit it the way that they do.
And it's all original content in the background there too, with songs, and it was just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. This Nick knows what's up. We'll do it live. That's right. That's why I like YouTube. There's no editing at all.
Yep.
Whatever happens.
Yep.
It's like the MCU. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. It was fun. We are slowly but surely getting our subscriber numbers up. We're at like 59. I would love to be at 60 before the end of the year. See, that's a goal that you can meet. Never make a goal that you can't meet. That's like one subscriber. So if you happen to catch this show, I know we've got some people watching the show that probably aren't subscribers, because Yellowstone and 1883 are drawing quite a crowd. So if you happen to watch the show, throw us a subscription, man. I mean, give us some love. Get us to 60 subscribers before the end of the year. It's not too much to ask. We're so close anyways. And that would be really awesome. 100's the goal, just so we can have our own URL. But 6.
Mash
I'll take
that
6.
Like button. Hit
Yeah,
the
do the
subscribe
like,
button and ring that bell.
All the stuff that the kids say. That'd be great. I think the most important thing though is to subscribe and share it with people, so it'll show up in your feed at some point. And I mean, we can't all be like Nick and have like millions and millions of subscribers, but I will hope to get there someday. Anyways, everybody have a great night, and we will catch you on the flip side.